Greetings, humans, and welcome back. Joey Pigtails here, bringing you the continuation of the Moneymaker Tour's $300 Pot Limit Omaha tournament at Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. We're seven-handed as we had three players knocked out between the two tables in the last hand played, so we pick up the action with blinds sitting at $1,500, $2,500. There's a total of 760,000 chips in play, and I'm sitting on about 130,000 at this point in time. Remember, when we get close to the bubble, and even after the bubble bursts, ICM considerations are constantly at the forefront of our mind. Every chip matters, and surviving to get into the money and then getting a pay jump means the hands we choose not to play are just as important as the ones we choose to play. We're going to fold a lot. Will I be able to take my own feedback, survive the bubble, and push for the win? Let's find out. So this first hand I'm in the big blind, and it's folded to the small blind who limps. I check back this ugly hand, and we see a flop of Queen 10-3 Rainbow. Our opponent checks, and I bet 3K with my set, which my opponent calls pretty quickly. The turn is a 2 of diamonds, which is really safe, so I size up my bet at 10,000 in case they are drawing and not bluff catching, and our opponent snap folds, so I miss some value here. Exactly an orbit later, I find myself in the same situation. It's folded around to the small blind who limps, and I check back to a flop of Queen 6-4 2 clubs. We both check to the turn of the 5 of spades, and check to the river of the king of clubs. I've hit a flush, but I don't expect worse to call, so I check this back and take it down. Perhaps I should still bet though, as to not have to show my hand. The next hand I see a nice combo, kings and sevens with hearts. The table has been relatively tight since the bubble hasn't burst yet, and there's no reason to go 5 ways with a premium, so I raise to 11.5k over 2 limps. Seed 5 is all in now for her last 15k, and Shane makes the call on the button. With 50k in, the flop comes Queen 2 Rainbow. This is a way ahead, way behind situation, and with one player all in, there isn't any reason to bet, so we both check to the turn of the 10 of clubs. We both check again to the river of the 8 of hearts, and I announce 2 pair after we check again, and my kings are good to take this one down. With a couple limps in front of me, I limp this single-suited rundown combo from the cutoff. I want to see a flop, and this isn't a premium, but it is worth the risk for one big blind. We end up going 5 ways to a flop of Ace 5-2 2 diamonds, and I end up folding to some action. We've been in the money now for a few hands with only 5 of us left, and it feels really good to get here on just one bullet. At the 3k blind level, I open this nice queen-queen combo with a suited ace to 9k and see calls from both the small blind and the big blind. With 30k in, I flop the nut flush on king jack 2 all diamonds. The small blind now leads for 12k, and raising is an option, but I go ahead and call, looking for more value later. The turn is a 9 of clubs, and when checked to, I want to be able to get it all in on the river, so I bet 40k hoping for a call, but get a fold instead. The next hand we see an open at 10k, and I call with this nice mid-pair combo from the small blind. We can argue for a 3-bet perhaps. With a flop of king deuce rainbow, I have top pair, but this is another way ahead, way behind situation. Any ace-king or ace-ace hand has me crushed and drawing to 5 outs or backdoors. Having a pair in my hand really hurts my prospects here, so I check and the opponent checks back. Turn is a 7 of hearts, and that doesn't help. I check and the opponent bets 15k, and I make the fold. We're now 4-handed as our friend Shane went out in a blaze of glory a couple of hands ago. I'm in the small blind, and this seems like a strong hand 4-handed, so I limp to see the big blind potted into my face. This is a defend, right? We see a flop of Ace Jack 7 2 diamonds, and I flop the world. I check with devious intentions, but our opponent checks back. The turn is the 3 of clubs, and I fire 11k for value, which should get us to an SPR of 1 at the river, but our opponent folds. The next hand, the small blind limps, and I check back this queen-queen combo. In hindsight, this is an open to apply pressure. We see a flop of 3-5-2 2 clubs. I have a flush draw and a gutter, and our opponent verbally fires pot, which is 9,000. Folding isn't an option here, so I make the call, and we see the turn of the ace of hearts, and that just got uglier. My opponent flings in a bunch of chips, and I go ahead and fold. With a limp in front of me, I open this nice combo to 12k. The small blind now pots it to 42K, and it's folded around to me. I'm completely unsure of this spot. I have a nut suit and 3 Broadway cards, as well as a dangler that connects for the wheel draw, but I don't know. Let me hear it. I think I would feel much better if I were to have double suited as well as to have a 10 in my hand, but let me know what you think. In the next hand, I'm on the button and see a limp in front of me. I go ahead and limp this hand. It's kind of pretty, don't you think? The big blind pots it to 18K. Under the gun makes the call, and I go ahead and call as well. With a flop of ace-2, jack-2 spades, I have a pair and a flush draw. The big blind jams, and I end up on and settle on a call here. What do you think? The board runs out the 6 of clubs and the king of hearts, and I end up breaking out, and I'm left with about 80K or 20 big blinds or so. The next hand we see a limp, and I open a 16K with this connected hand. Both the big blind and the limper call to a flop of king 10-3 rainbow. I have bottom 2 pair and decide to check when check 2. The turn is the 3 of diamonds, giving me bottom boat, and I fire 20 of my remaining 60K for value, and just the big blind makes the call. The river is the ace of clubs, improving my hand, and I go ahead and jam when check 2. Our opponent isn't happy about calling, but doesn't waste any time doing so with kings full. He thought I might have rivered aces full, but not this time. I'm out in 4th place. What a great result on just one bullet. I felt great this entire tournament and felt comfortable with the decisions I made along the way, right up until the end there. Those last 3 hands presented some difficult situations where a few mistakes compounded together and led me to getting it all in with a hand that doesn't fare well against the hands that continue with us. There aren't any bluffs in our opponent's range when they call that turn there, and I'm not ahead of most value hands. For those of you that tuned into my live streams this week, you had the chance to see me adding graphics to the vlog while also doing a deeper dive into these hands. If you want to talk more about PLO mixed game strategy with me, or just about anything for that matter, the live stream is a great time to do so. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when I go live, and I look forward to talking to you. During this Moneymaker Tour series, I also played the Bounty event, the 5-card PLO event, and the 3-game PLO mix, but wasn't able to cash them even though I made some deep runs and got close. Regardless, I'm really enjoying playing tournaments again, and I'm going to be playing more of them soon. Also, I'm thinking about doing some live podcasts with PLO hand reviews. If that's something you're interested in participating in, let me know in the comments. Thanks again for stopping by and spending some time with me. I'm Joey Pigtails, and I am transparent, reminding you to be a good human. Bye.